In 1964, arguably the fiercest, hardest-hitting boxer in history, not Mike Tyson, who wouldn't be born for another 2 years, but then world heavyweight champion Sonny Liston, faced off against a 22-year-old loudmouth called the Louisville Lip. I'm talking, of course, about Muhammad Ali, though back then his name was Cassius Clay. Liston was so dominant that some of the very best fighters of the era refused to even get into the ring with him. The then-named Clay, with exceptional reflexes and extraordinary movement in the ring, which helped him win the light heavyweight Olympic gold in 1960, was still regarded by the boxing press as a long shot, more notable for the speed of his mouth, with what they thought were clear weaknesses that Liston would quickly take apart. Liston entered the ring a 7-1 favorite, with 43 of the 46 ringside reporters anticipating a Liston win by knockout. Even if you don't know about boxing, I guess you know what happened next. The young Muhammad Ali beat on Liston so badly that Liston gave up at the beginning of the 7th round. In their match more than a little year later, Ali knocked him out in the 1st. The thing of it is, Liston was actually much older than people thought, hadn't fought much since beating Floyd Patterson in '62 to take the title in the first place, didn't take Clay seriously, didn't train seriously, and got sidetracked by other things. I think you know where I'm going with this. First, for all its frightening implications for societal control, surveillance, and potential for abuse, the web is still an amazing resource, and Wikipedia is awesome. But for you and me, the purpose of this story, the almost poetic parallel, is that with these two lenses, the 600mm f4 and 200-600 f5.6-6.3 zoom, upstart Sony has basically knocked out the reigning world champ in the first round of their second fight, glass. As for Nikon, well, they're the Floyd Patterson of this story, but hold that thought for another episode. Canon became #1 by taking the title from Nikon, and in turn became an indomitable machine for decades. Credit where credit is due. They were faster, more innovative, more nimble, and Nikon thought they had a lock on the industry. Fast forward to now. Only reluctantly has Canon realized that it has already been beaten once by Sony. Sony's mirrorless full-frame cameras are, in too many ways, now superior to Canon's hegemonic but technologically aging DSLRs. It's why Canon finally came out with the mirrorless full-frame R and RP. But it was clear to some of us at their launch that Canon had given away years of training to Sony. No IBIS, massive 4K crop, dysfunctional multifunction bar, limited dynamic range, and just 4 lenses in the new mount. Too little too late. With these two super telephotos, Sony has cut to the heart of the remaining advantage Canon has held in glass, professional sports photography. Sony has been quicker, smarter, better. I can't imagine Canon willing to allocate sufficient budget and human capital in a relevant time frame to match or exceed Sony's lens lineup with their new RF mount glass, but I've been wrong before. Though I can't think of a story in the annals of human history where David and Goliath come back for round 2, and Goliath opens up a can of whoop-ass on David. But maybe you do. Please communicate that in the comments section below. Now, none of this is an indictment of those of us who love our Canon gear and intend to stay with the brand. There are an incredible number of incredibly talented and driven people there. Nor is it an unbridled endorsement of Sony for everyone else for everything else. I think you and I can agree that either would amount to so much silliness and wasted energy. Instead, I hope you take this short video as it was intended, an absolutely fascinating parallel from another field, interesting as a story in its own right, one more cautionary tale of the dangers of hubris, or perhaps something as simple as a different take on the adage, the early bird catches the worm. Possibly the beginning of a surprise twist ending. For me, the new question is, does Sony recognize the moral of this story as they move toward the goal of becoming #1? That there is always a challenger waiting in the wings, because that is a story as old as humanity itself.